Hey folks, let's look at some rifled slugs. Here we have a 2 3/4 inch 20 gauge slug. It's the Federal Truball. It has 3/4 of an ounce of a rifled slug in it, moving at 1,600 feet per second. Today we'll be shooting a 5-shot group here from 50 yards, looking for good group size, not for bullseyes. But before we do that, let's take one of these Truballs and break it down and take a look at it, and then we'll come back out here to the range and do a little shooting. Alright, so here we have the shell breakdown for the Federal Premier Truball rifled slugs in the box. This is a hollow point, and that's more like a little crater than a hollow point, but it really doesn't matter. This lid's so soft. So the actual rifled slug, here it is. And the cavity right there. This is a 60 caliber projectile. It has a lead hardness of 9, which makes it equivalent to a 25-to-1 lead tin alloy. The box claims it weighs 3/4 of an ounce, and sure enough, it weighs 3/4 of an ounce. The next piece we get to is this little bitty ball right here. This little ball goes right there, inside the base like that. That's how I found it. And it's pretty tight. I shook it out then. And after the little ball, we have a plastic wad. It acts as a cushioning wad and a over the powder wad. Here we have some sort of disc powder. Like I said before, we can weigh these things to find out what the charge is, but that does us no good because we don't know what type of powder that is. We put the wrong powder in the makeup like this and we could blow our gun up, so let's not do that. Next we have the shell. Here's the shell. And it's clearly marked. Federal usually does a pretty good job of marking their shells. And this will usually stay on these shells for a good while. You got to be really hard on them to make it come off. A week or so in your pocket will probably do it, but otherwise this is pretty good. And here's the head stamp. Just 20 gauge Federal right there. This is the roll crimp that I cut off to break this thing down. Let's look at the box here. Here we have the box. It shows us the components of the shell right there on the front. Of course, it shows us a little deer to tell us that this is meant for medium game, whitetail deer size. All right, let's look at the back side here. The back side is just legalese. It's got all your warnings in there and everything on it, and yeah, you should read it. So on both sides we have the shell specs, and up there in the upper right hand corner on your screen is the product code for these. Here on this side is telling us that this is designed for medium game, such as whitetail deer. Some more legalese. The one thing this box does not have on it is ballistic information. You have to go to their website to look that up. So there's our shell breakdown for the Federal Truball. Let's go shoot a few of these things at a target and see how they group. Alright, so here we have our Winchester Model 1300. This is a 3-inch chambered 20 gauge. It has a cylinder bore on a smoothbore 22-inch slug barrel. And that's what we'll be shooting these Federals with. Let's load these Truballs up and throw them down the range. All right, here we go. We're going to send 3 3/4 of an ounce of lead down there. Here we go. I'm going to hold the same point of aim so we get a good group. Boy, them are some smoky shells. All right, let's go down there and take a look at this group and see what we think about them. All right, so here we have our target that we shot with the Federal Truball. Here's the box. Now, if you remember, this is a 2 3/4 inch 20 gauge load. It has a 3/4 of an ounce rifled slug moving 1,600 feet per second. All right, so let's look at the group here. We only have 4 holes, as you can see. Now, I haven't looked at the target footage, but these holes are about 1/2 inch. This hole right here is about 3/4 inch. That tells me that there's probably 2 in this one hole right here. We have less than a 2.5 inch group right here. This is good performance for a rifled slug. I would not have any trouble at all buying some more of these things for deer hunting with. The only thing I don't like about the Federals are one of the brands that for some reason does not put the ballistic information on the box as a guideline. You have to go look it up. Of course, I'm shooting probably a shorter barrel than what they're saying, but I looked up the information, and so they're saying they're suggesting 100 yard zero. Now, if these things keep this type of group, these are a legitimate 100 yard slug. And of course, you might want an optic if you're pushing a slug out to 100 yards instead of open sights like I'm shooting. But what I'm really looking for is a 50 to 75 yard rifled slug, and this would fit the bill. So, yeah, this is a good performing rifled slug. So until next time, y'all stay safe in deer woods, and God bless.